If you like to make your NFL games a little bit more interesting, you've come to the right place. It's the Even Money Podcast with Ross Tucker and Steve Fezzik.
Yeah, Vegas, baby. Vegas. It is the Even Money Podcast. We are, of course, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use the code ROSS. Can't wait to announce a few more best ball contestants on tomorrow's Fantasy Feast podcast. Make sure you rate and review any of the shows or take advantage of any of the sponsors. Forward to me, Ross at RossTucker.com, so you can go against me and Joe Dolan in one of these best ball contests. I'm at Ross Tucker NFL. We are at Ross Tucker Pod. We know we have new listeners and viewers this time of year. There also have been some recent states since last football season have come aboard. So before we get to the Hall of Fame game stuff, we want to make sure that you all have a basis by which to stand on for this season. All right, Steve. So I've wanted to do this with you for a long time because I do think with every year, with more and more people getting into sports betting, with it becoming legalized in more states, that there are people that are really looking for just like, how could I or should I get started? So let's say a new state popped up wherever, right? And they had a room full of 1,000 people that were interested in maybe betting on sports. And they had you come in and talk to the room, okay? Pretend I'm in the room. Like, what would be the first couple things that you would say to them in terms of how to get started? Because I think for a lot of people, there's two things that happen. Either they're intimidated and don't know where to start, or they start, let's be honest, by doing dumb stuff and losing money because they start with like the bonuses or whatever. Although I know we've talked otherwise, like that is one of the things you would recommend is having a bunch of different shops or outlets or whatever you call them, books, and taking advantage of those bonuses. So step back. First thing you tell them, is it a book that they should read? Is it an app that they should use? Obviously, you need to say DraftKings, but anything else, just I'm giving you the floor.
All right, so I want you to read like 5 books that are going to help you become a sharp guy. So read Stanford Wong's Sharp Sports Betting.
And that's more than just the Wong teasers, right?
It's more. It's like the whole book is about, how to bet on sports and have an edge. King Yao, Y-A''O, wrote a book that's excellent about, I think it's called like the mathematics of sports betting.
King Y-A''O?
King Yao. His last name is Y-A''O.
Okay.
Anything Ed Miller, who's a famed poker author, writes on sports betting. Also, he has several topics. Ed Miller's stuff is excellent, so go ahead and read that. The Smart Money by Konik, K-O-N-I-K, is another great book. He ran for Billy Walters. He bet for Billy Walters, and he talked about the importance of numbers and how important, like Billy Walters, well, he's like the greatest sports bettor in the world, right? So anything Billy Walters says is good, but Billy will say, no, it's only good if you get +7. You can't bet +6.5. Very disciplined on all of it. So that'll give you a good basic knowledge of high-level stuff, if you will. Then armed with that...
so hold on a second. But what if you could only read one book?
No, you got to read more than one. No one book is good enough. So if you want to beat NFL teasers, read Wong's book. Okay. All right. Then we got to get you a bankroll, and you're like, I don't have a bankroll. What do I do? And I'm like, well, drive Uber, and stop stop spending $400 for Ace of Spades, drinks that are like $60 in clubs and stuff. But seriously, one thing you can do, let's say you got a $3,000 bankroll. We got to grow it. Okay. I'm always a proponent, get as many sports books as possible. Open up your account at DraftKings, open it up at all the other shops in town. But don't simultaneously take $300 and pop it into your 10 different accounts. Not the way to do it. So if a book is giving you, say, a 25% match on your first deposit, boom. Put it all in. You're going to go all into one book. Okay, you're going to slam it into one book and get that full.
Get the full 300 or get the full 3,000.
Right. So get the 750 on the 3,000 or whatever it is. For the 25% bonus, and then
okay.
People will be like, "Well, Fez, how do I get my Sometimes I got a rollover requirement. I got to bet 5 times through before I get that bonus. So there's ways to do this. So for example, the DraftKings people, they have a nice little prop on the coin toss. Heads, tails, minus 100 in each direction. They're not going to make any money. It's just a fun way to give back to the customers. DraftKings won't lose any money. They won't win any money. But guess what? Well, if you open up an account and you put in $3,000 and your buddy puts in $3,000 and you go all in and you shove and you bet $3,000 on heads and your buddy bets tails, you're going to break even. He's going to win. You're going to lose. It's like, but now you've met one time of your rollover requirement, and here's the beauty. Your one guy friend doubles up, you lose everything, and then you call up DraftKings and you just redeposit and get another bonus because you're already down, $3,000.
Oh, they'll let you do it again?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, you might not get the same 25% bonus, but you'll get something, So you just you mix and match, you keep and so now your buddy has $6,000. He withdraws $3,000 for DraftKings. Boom, now he puts it into the second book, and he gets a 20% bonus from them. You see where I'm going. That you keep expanding, building your bankroll, and you really don't have to win. You just have to break even betting sports, and you can use the bonuses to help build up your bankroll. That would be the first step to building a sports betting bankroll.
Okay. And then, so you're building up your bankroll at all these other books. What about the people, unfortunately, that there's a lot of people, Steve, they just want to have one app on their phone.
Can't help them. They won't win. You won't win. Got to have multiple apps.
Really?
Yeah. You can have your favorite. You can have your one that, your go-to one, but you absolutely, what are you going to do when Kansas City's playing Buffalo and the line's 2.5 at some books and 3 at some others, and you want to bet Buffalo, you're going to lay 3 when you can lay 2.5. I know it didn't matter. They lost outright, but Kansas City won by 3. Buffalo could have won by 3. If Buffalo wins by 3, you cannot lose that game. When a game lands on the number, you got to win or you got to push. You absolutely can't lose, and I hear that all the time from people. Oh, I had plus 2.5, and I know there were 3s out there, and they lost, and the game lands 3. You just absolutely well, Ross, that's why you love plus 3.5. It's no secret. You
right.
made a small fortune taking 3.5 early in the week on games that oftentimes close 3 and land at 3, and stolen wins that way.
What about for recreational bettors that only want to have one book? I know you said you can't help them in terms of winning, but what are some of the other recommendations you would give them? Because I guess I have a lot of friends that listen or watch the Even Money Betting podcast. I don't know that they have that many different apps. Like when I talk to people, okay, like friends, they usually have the DraftKings app. Some people have other apps, which they shouldn't because DraftKings is the best, but they have other apps. So my question is, what do you say or recommend to those people where it's like they want to win, Steve? They do, but they're not professionals. This is recreational. They're doing it for entertainment. They listen to Even Money Podcast. They might even be a patron, patreon.com/RTmedia to see our bets each week. And they listen and they care and they want to win. But they're not going to have 5 different apps. They're not going to always be shopping the numbers. They basically don't have, in their mind, right, the time to do that. So I guess one thing they can do, obviously, is listen to our show. I mean, that's one thing. What else can they do? What other recommendations do you have?
I would say if you want to just have fun, recreational, we have 3. You're going to get most of the time. Think about it. If a books are split like 50-50 on a line, you've got a 7/8 chance that you're going to get the best line at one of your 3. One half to the third power would be 1/8 that you're screwed, and all 3 of your books have the wrong number. But I don't think anyone's ever said this before, but this is really powerful. Find one guy in your state that is a really sharp, dedicated bettor and make friends with him. Make good friends with them. All right. So someone, and I do this for people in Nevada, because I don't know about the rules about crossing states, and I don't want to discuss or suggest something. And because last time
might be illegal, right?
Yeah, I don't have a law degree, so I want to be very, very careful. But I can tell you, it's not unusual at all. Like here in Nevada, I have a go-to guy who bets seriously. He knows I bet seriously, and it happens sometimes. Like literally, I'm driving. Get me St. John's, best number you can get me. All right, and he just fills. He's like, you're in +4, lay $1.07. Okay, and I'll do the same with him. And think about how good that is. So if you're busy, if you have a regular job and you have a play that you really like, you don't have to like go and shop around. If you don't have that many books, why would you even bother looking at your books? Just send it into a trader for you, a buddy that can go ahead and execute the order. And well, how does he make money? Well, you share information. He might bet some of that himself as well, knowing you're only sending him good stuff. Yes.
Got it. Okay. Well, let's keep it going then. So that's helpful because that way you guys kind of have each other's back. And if you have a professional sports bettor in your state that you become friends with, then he can give you his good plays.
Yeah, exactly. The sharing really helps. So, Paul's really good. Like I love when he tweets the next day, Fezzik gave me the, so-and-so. And every now and then he sends a play. I sent to him, but it wasn't widely available. So I didn't send to my clients. And I'm like, now my clients are going to be pissed.
Oh, got it.
But it wasn't available for them to bet. It was just, it might just have been one, like DraftKings may have been the only place that had that line. So I'll tell Paul, bet it at DraftKings. Yes.
Okay. What about, let's say someone gets started and they read the books, they have the apps. Now, what should they actually start to bet?
Get really good at one thing that you love, okay? Don't try to beat the WNBA if you can't stand the sport, okay? I found people have a great deal of success betting into a sport that they love and then specializing. What do I mean by specialization? It can even be to the point of, like, when you're betting player props, just take a couple teams in the NFL. Know everything you can about the fact that, the Chiefs, McKinnon got activated. That means that Edwards-Helaire might not get any carries in the Super Bowl. You know that to that depth of knowledge.
Right.
And frankly, the more obscure the team, I know that none of the teams are obscure in the NFL, but it's probably better to follow the Carolina Panthers than it is to go ahead and follow the Chiefs.
So you're saying follow one team in the NFL as opposed to following the NFL.
Yeah, the peanut butter approach, trying to know each and every team, which you and I have to.
Call that peanut butter?
You're spread too thin. Okay. Spread too thin. You and I have to
You're better off knowing one team really well and then betting the props.
Exactly. And when we talk about props, even specializing in certain props, like knowing, for instance, you can have, like, if you knew about the Carolina Panthers, terrible team, but they're actually pretty good in the first quarter, So seeing their splits and who's better, like the Baltimore Ravens, for whatever reason, are awesome in the first quarter and the first half. Just awesome. Not in the playoffs, but every other time. And just knowing splits about teams. And I'll even go, to other sports. I can only.
But then most people, the team that they're going to really know about and really focus on is going to be their team. But then some people, they have mixed emotions on whether or not they want to bet a lot on their team. You know what I mean? Like, talk about that part of it.
It's a natural hedge. If you love a team and you bet against them, you're going to win either way. Either team wins or you win money. I hear what you're saying. So
I call that a happiness hedge.
So maybe if you're a Ram fan in LA, maybe you follow the Chargers, all right? Maybe you follow – it's always better to follow a team close to home because think about it. You're opening up the local newspaper and you're reading the articles. You're going to know more about the Packers if you live –
does anybody actually open up a newspaper anymore?
I think there's still people. Last time I checked, I was going through my a convenience store, and there it was. People were buying the Las Vegas Review-Journal still. It does exist, yes.
That is funny. Okay. So you basically, if you want to win when you start doing it, what you're suggesting is to start to focus on one team and the player props on that one team.
Yes, or even like I talked about baseball. I focused on a specific prop in baseball. You know what my favorite prop is? Runs, hits, errors. How many runs, hits, and errors will there be in a baseball game? And I believe I consider myself to be a complete expert on this. Just in the way to price it and the aspects of it.
Why?
It's an awesome prop because it's somewhat of a proxy for the total for a game. So, example, if the total in a baseball game is 7, the RHE should be 23, all right? If it's 8, it should be like 25.5, and if it's 9, it should be like 27.8. I just know this, all right? And so what happens, like let's say the barometric pressure suddenly changes or the wind changes would be a better example, like in Wrigley. So the total was 9, and suddenly the total drops down to 8. All right, if we're going to play that total now, we can't play under 9 anymore. We can play under 8. Or, you know what? That runs, hits, errors is probably still going to be lined at 27.5. It's going to move slower than the total. So the second you see a total move, oftentimes you can grab the secondary market and play the RHE in the same direction and get almost the equivalent bet that hasn't been adjusted for that big move.
Okay. Now let's talk about people. We talked about, let's just say somebody just wants to bet NFL. He likes the NFL. He wants to bet on NFL games. He doesn't really have the time to really dive into one team that closely or to really have strong opinions on props. So he really wants to bet sides and totals, NFL. Again, I'm talking mainly recreationally, right? Like I'm trying to think about when my friends talk to me about betting, this is what they talk about. You know what I mean? Like, and I think they know, they want to win, and I think some of them do win, or like they at least think that they're winning maybe. But they're not going to do a lot of these prop things or whatever. So talk to me about that part of it if they want to go ahead and try to win betting sides and totals NFL. Obviously very difficult.
Yeah, I'm going to give them two pieces of advice here, two ways to win. First, sides and totals, I'm going to give them the 8 of clubs method of winning. This is my friend Leon. He wants to stay under the radar. He doesn't want people to know he's named Leon. Oh, dear. Just gave it away. So it goes by 8 of clubs, the least descript card in the deck. All right, so staying under the radar. So come Monday, look at what the lines are at DraftKings. I want you to take out a sheet of paper. I want you to write the side and the total on each and every NFL game. Okay, minus 3.5, 38.5, all right? I want you to put it in a drawer, lock it up, and not think about it, all right? You're busy. You're a recreational bettor. You don't have time to do all the handicapping. Half an hour before the game starts on Sunday, I want you to open back up your drawer, look at DraftKings, and write down all the different lines on all the different game sides and totals. I want you to take the biggest mover. So let's say a total move from 43 to 46, for instance. Whatever is the biggest mover, and let's say a spread moved from 9.5 to 11, all right? I want you to fade that move. I want you to go the other way. Oftentimes, it's just an overreaction to some piece of news that hit, or just bettors, for whatever reason, they're all dogpiling on the same side. If a line opened 9 and it's 11, I like plus 11. If a total opened 43 and now it's 46, I like under 46. You're rarely going to do badly with that very strategy. Because think about it, what sharp guy is going to play is playing over 45.5 when on a total that opened 43. He'd be ashamed, be like, how did I get to this last? Now, every now and then, there's a major weather change or major news change. If a quarterback's out, that would change everything. But just this, if there isn't a major injury, this is rarely a losing strategy.
Ooh, okay. That's interesting.
And it's simple. It's easy.
Yeah. All right. So now what if they just want to be able to bet, not do that method?
All right. Teasers. To this day, and that's why you talk about, I said you got to read all the books.
There's a lot of people, by the way, that listen to the Even Money podcast or watch us, youtube.com/RossTuckerNFL, that it's really mixed. I get the reaction from some people, they don't like how many teasers we do. They wish we didn't do so many teasers. Then there's other people that they're really into teasers now. They really like teasers as a result of our show.
So you don't want to read multiple books? All right, you only have to read one chapter. Stanford Wong, Sharp Sports Betting, his chapter on teasers. And you only need, you don't want to have lots of books. Okay, you can have one book, all right? DraftKings, because they have really good odds on teasers. The 6-point NFL teasers are minus 120, best odds in the world. Well, there might be someone better, but in Vegas, they're better than any odds that Las Vegas offers. And basically, Wong lays it out. You want to play an underdog, and you want to tease through the 3 and through the 7. So a +2 dog up to +8, that's good. You're going through the 3, through the 7. Plus or minus a half on the point spread, no problem. You can take +1.5 up to 7.5, +2.5 up to 8.5. You're going through the 3, through the 7 corridor. Now you can play the favorite, the -8 down to -2, the same thing, same criterias, but it has to be the home team. It just turns out that home teams win more 8-point home favorites than 8-point road favorites. 8-point road favorites are a little bit more dangerous. Historically, they haven't done as well. So Wong says tease through the 3 and the 7 with a 6-point teaser. But if you're playing the favorite, it has to be the home team. It's that simple.
Why haven't, if Wong teasers are still so good, why haven't the books adjusted, or have they started to over the years?
They have. And in fact, you can't even get -120 anymore in Nevada. Now, the reason why a lot of books like DraftKings can still offer it is that I can tell you over and over and over and over and over and over again, but you're still going to be on the eve of destruction with your teasers because it's the Super Bowl. And, of course, Kansas City +2 to +8 is an awesome leg, but you need something to tease it with. And you know what you're going to do, Ross? going to take that little finger and you're going to say, ooh, I see that total. How are they possibly going to score 53.5 points? And you're going to click submit and play the total and tease the total, which is not a Wong teaser. And if enough people play the over or the under on their teasers with Kansas City, even though Kansas City is an awesome teaser, they're not going to win in the long run because of the second legs, and they're going to not play Wong teasers.
All right. What if you don't want to do Wong teasers? Last question. You just want to do sides and totals.
Then just bet the sides and totals. Don't tease them.
And just do what you think.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing else at that point. Listen to people like us that have leans or opinions and use that guidance.
Exactly. And I will say also, asymmetric risk. I would never play the wrong side of a hook unless the game was just about to kick off. What do I mean by the wrong side of the hook? I don't think I ever bet +2.5, +6.5, +9.5. I never lay 3.5, 7.5, or -10.5. I might right before kickoff. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to do better. I really want to invest in this game, but I'm not putting that bet in until 2 minutes before the game kicks off, because there's always the chance that a 10.5 goes to 10. And how dumb do you feel if you've got a -10.5 when you could have laid 10? And you know where I'm going. And now it's like 27-17, and your team has the ball, and there's 4 minutes left, and they have the ball at midfield, and you're like, if I was laying 10, I'm in Fat City here. I push or I win, and now I'm almost drawing dead. Yes.
Awesome. Love the conversation, Steve. Love to be able to talk with you in person like this. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ross.
Excellent stuff from Steve. It always is. Steve, before we get to, by the way, the Hall of Fame game, my Hall of Fame was this past weekend, drinking Labatt Blue Lights, Saturday, Sunday, Friday night. Absolutely delicious. Highly recommend it with friends and family, living life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. But now let's get to what a lot of the people have been waiting for. We have a game. It's in 2 nights. Thursday night, Canton, Ohio, Chicago Bears, Houston Texans. I know you have like a certain philosophy or thought, Steve, typically as it relates to betting the Hall of Fame game. What is that?
I love teasing the Hall of Fame game because typically what happens, the line should be right around pick'em. It is truly just an exhibition game, but inevitably someone winds up being favored. Right now, the Bears, small favorite. And I don't care who you make the favorite. I'll tease the other guys up through those key numbers of 3 through 7 and catch, in this case, the Houston Texans catching more than 7 points in a teaser. And then I need to put that teaser in with something. Well, I'll go ahead and look towards NFL Week 1. And my favorite teaser right now would be the Indianapolis Colts catching +2 up to +8 to pair it with. I think that is a sound investment to make to start the season. But to be honest, Ross, you know what? If by some change in information, the Bears became the underdog, I'd be perfectly happy teasing the Bears up to +7.5 as well.
Didn't we always take the under in this game too, or no?
The magic number for me is 33.5. Exactly. I want 33.5 or higher to go under. I won't go into all the details regarding that, but I'm monitoring that total. And anytime I see any number higher than 33, I'm going under. Yes.
Got it. Because there's usually, the offenses are usually not ready yet. They're behind the defenses, and there's usually not a lot of scoring. And the starters don't really play much, so it's like backup quarterbacks, backup O-linemen. It ends up being a lot of third-string quarterbacks, third-string O-linemen.
Spot on. So this is week 0 preseason, and week 1 preseason, I ain't playing under 33. But in this game, in the Hall of Fame game, hey, let's get out of here without anyone getting injured. Exactly. So it's a different animal.
Check him out on social media. He is the man at Fezzik Sports. Love talking with Steve every week. Next week should be absolutely epic as we dive into all of the week 1 games. Going to be fantastic. Other than that, good luck, everybody. Hope you guys win some money.
Thanks for tuning in to Even Money. Make sure to also check out the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.